The room was so big, and there were so many people, each one of them talking and talking and talking. I couldn't concentrate. For the second time in my life, I was in a position that I never wanted to be in. It's all fun and games until you're the one sitting in the witness box. It had me anxious. I was scared. Yes, young lady, do you mind telling the court exactly what happened on the material date of the incident? Said the lawyer. Yes, ma'am, I humbly replied. Between her and the judge, who stared right at me behind those glasses, I didn't know who scared me more. But looking at the policeman right at the door, I knew I had to speak. Well, James, he is my next door neighbor, and he moved into our neighborhood like about 5 months ago. He was the quietest person around the block, and he barely spoke to people. We could even go for weeks without hearing from him. He was mostly alone in his room. On that Saturday, I was late for church, so I was in quite a rush. I was outside my house putting on my shoes, and I spotted him leaving his place too. We didn't speak. I didn't get a chance to say hi because he had his earphones on, so I just quietly walked some steps behind him. And everything happened so fast. On the way to church, someone heavily pushed me, and so I fell. Laying there surprised and confused, I panicked because I was in a white dress and I was heading to church, and then now it was dirty, and then I was wondering how I was going to go about it, and then I realized that I no longer had my phone in my hands. And when I looked ahead, I saw this neatly dressed young man, right, and he was already running. He was running so fast, and he was holding my phone, and I saw him put it in his pocket, so I cried out, "Thief!" I tried to get up to chase after him, but I realized that I had hurt my knee, so I couldn't really stand. So I had to keep on screaming as loud as I can, because my neighborhood has a lot of rich kids, so it's mostly quiet and you can barely find people around. Everyone is always in their house, and every house has a secured wall, and the passerbys are mostly in their cars, so I had no hope. There was this one woman, she has this supermarket right by the road, but of course she wasn't going to leave her shop and go chase a thief, so yeah, I kept on calling out, "Thief, stop thief, stop thief." And then I don't know if I was lucky or unlucky to have James some steps ahead of me, because I think he faintly heard the screaming, and so he turned around and took his earphones off. He looked at me, and then he looked at the thief, who was now getting closer to where he was, and I think he understood that I had been stolen from, because all I saw was that he threw his bag a few steps away from him, and with great timing he stopped the thief with a mighty punch in the face, so the thief fell on the ground. And then James, he bent over the thief and gave him some other 3 punches. And then when the thief was still feeling the pain, he looked for my phone in the thief's pockets, and he found it. James took the phone and put it in his pocket. And then I heard him loudly say, You out here acting smart? You think you can just steal stuff from people, huh?" And then he was so angry. So it was the first time I was seeing James speak a whole sentence, and with such anger. He grabbed the thief by the shirt, and the thief was now crying. He was like, "Bro, please forgive me," and he wasn't even allowed to proceed talking anymore, because James was now giving him multiple random punches on the face. I didn't panic that much, because mob justice is a very common thing in this country, especially for thieves. I mean, people even burn them alive or stone them to death, so what were these few punches compared to all that, huh? So I just sit there on the ground watching. After all, I saw it fit because he tried to steal my phone, right? So I was just there trying to dust myself off a bit. And then in the process, I heard the woman from the shop suddenly scream. She went like, "Somebody come stop this man, please, help." And at first I ignored the cries, because she was probably just calling in more people to come in and punish the thief. Besides, I was already concerned about the dirt on my white dress more. But then my perspective changed when I heard louder and more painful screams from the thief. So I stopped cleaning my dress, and I looked up. And I didn't believe what I saw, because at that moment James had a pocket knife, and he was now cutting a second finger from the thief. My fear for sharp objects had me not even wanting to go anywhere close. I didn't even want to stop him. I was just amazed and shocked and so scared at that moment. The poor guy was on the floor, unable to run, because James had him in this lock. And by the time people started coming outside their gates, James was finishing off the pinky finger from the thief's right hand. And then the man was crying in so much agony. It was just when James sat on the thief's chest, trying to press through his eyes, like pop him out or something, I don't know. There's this one man from the neighborhood. He ran in fast and pulled him off the thief. It was quite a struggle getting him away from the thief. But after a few calls of his name, like, "James, James, James, get off this man," he came to, and he stood up. I think he was lost in the process, because James just stood there staring at the crowd of people that had now piled far away from the area of action, afraid to come closer for their safety. James looked into our eyes, scanning the few. He saw surprise, disbelief, confusion, and fear.